rancher saves a wounded woman in the desert without knowing that she was a millionaire. She falls madly in love with him. Before we get into this story, where are you watching from? Let me know in the comments. Also, if you enjoy Millionaire CEO stories like these, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on the next one. The sun was blazing hot over the big, empty desert. Jake Miller, a rancher, was riding his horse, looking around carefully. The desert was his home. It was tough, but he knew it well, so well. Suddenly, he saw someone lying still near some rocks. He felt worried and quickly rode over. Jake got off his horse and knelt down next to the woman. She looked weak and barely awake. She had a big cut on her leg. She was losing blood. He spoke gently but with concern.
"Hey, are you okay? Can you hear me?"
She whispered weakly.
Please help me.
Jake held her steady.
"Don't try to move. You're hurt. I'll help you."
He looked at her carefully. Her leg was swollen and she was really thirsty from the heat. Jake pulled out some water and gave it to her. After she drank, he carefully helped her onto his horse and made sure she was safe. Then he climbed on behind her. As they rode back to the ranch, he kept talking softly.
"You're gonna be fine. I'll get you to safety."
Thank you. I don't know what I would have done alone out here.
When they got close to the ranch, she looked around at the simple house and dusty land. It was nothing like the city she came from. She kept her secret to herself for now. For now, all that mattered was the kindness of the man who saved her out in the desert. When Jake got the injured woman back to his ranch, she looked around, taking it all in. It wasn't much, just a modest place out in the desert. There were cows grazing quietly in the field, a few goats and sheep wandering near the barn, and chickens clucking softly. The cabin felt warm and welcoming when they stepped inside. Jake carefully helped her onto a soft brown sofa by the fireplace.
"Welcome to my home."
Jake said with a small smile.
"It's not much, but it'll keep you safe from the cold outside and from the animals that come out at night."
They shared a little laugh, a moment of lightness in the quiet evening. Then Jake disappeared into the small kitchen to fix her a cup of warm tea. While he was busy, she let her eyes wander over the pictures hanging on the wall. She couldn't help but notice how handsome Jake was in the photos, with a strong jawline and a warm smile. In one picture, he was carrying a toddler on his shoulders. They both looked so happy, laughing, and full of life. In another picture, Jake stood next to a beautiful woman, both of them smiling against the backdrop of the ocean. She wondered quietly to herself.
Who was she? His wife, maybe?
Jake's voice called from the kitchen.
"Here, I made you some tea."
The warm cup in her hands brought her back from her thoughts. As she sipped the tea, Jake gently dressed her wounds and put clean bandages on the injured leg. Soon, her eyelids grew heavy. The last thing she remembered was Jake's handsome face, smiling down at her with quiet kindness as she drifted off to sleep. About 2 hours later, she woke up suddenly, eyes snapping open, her mind foggy and confused. For a few seconds, she had no idea where she was. The soft brown sofa, the faint smell of wood smoke, and the quiet sounds around her slowly came into focus. Then, memories flooded back. The scorching desert, the fall, the pain, and the kind man who had found her just in time. Before she could say anything, Jake's warm voice broke the silence.
"Oh, you're awake. Don't worry, you're safe now."
Relief washed over her, but it was mixed with discomfort. Her head throbbed painfully, and her skin felt like it was burning from the inside out.
I have a bad headache, and my whole body feels like it's on fire.
Jake's face tightened with concern, his eyes full of empathy as he nodded, trying to reassure her.
"That fever can hit hard out here. We'll get you fixed up."
Jake paused for a moment, a gentle curiosity in his voice as he spoke again.
"By the way, I don't think I got your name. What should I call you?"
She hesitated, taking a deep breath before responding with the name she had just made up on the spot.
Emily.
"Well, Emily, I'm Jake. Glad to see you awake."
The way Jake said her name, simple, without a hint of recognition, made her heart race in a way she didn't expect. She realized he had no idea who she truly was, no idea of her life outside this moment. And somehow she liked it that way. For the first time, she wasn't a millionaire with 1,000 eyes on her every move. Here with Jake, she was just a regular woman. She could be invisible, and that felt like freedom. Emily had been out of touch with anyone she knew for days. Her mobile was long gone, lost somewhere in the vast desert, and now, there was no choice but to ask Jake for his.
Jake, do you have a phone I could use? I need to call someone.
No, we don't have any reception out here. Not a single bar. I have to drive miles to the nearest town whenever I need to send mail or reach anyone.
Emily sat back, stunned by the realization. She had always known people lived far from cities, but no cell phone reception? That was something else entirely. She looked around, noticing just how far she must have wandered into the desert. It hit her. She had ended up in a place much more isolated than she thought. She was curious. She needed to know where she was.
Where exactly are we?
We're way out in the Great Basin Desert, one of the deepest, most remote deserts in the western United States. You're pretty far from civilization.
As Jake explained just how deep in the desert they were, the pride in his voice was evident. But for Emily, it only made the truth sink in deeper. This place was miles away from anything. When Emily looked back at Jake, her eyes wide with realization, he caught her gaze and gave her a knowing smile. The weight of just how isolated she was hit her like a wave. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. She couldn't help but wonder how anyone in their right mind would choose to live out here alone. The only reason she could think of was if they were running from the law. Or worse, hiding from something dark. But Jake didn't seem like that kind of person. He seemed kind, genuine. There had to be something else, something she didn't yet understand.
I don't mean this in a rude way, but how do you survive out here all alone?
Well, I grow most of my food myself. I raise cows, goats, sheep, and chickens, and I have a small garden for vegetables. There's a local market in the nearest town where I trade some of my animals for things I need, like grains or supplies. Sometimes it gets pretty lonely out here. Most days it's just me and the animals. But you know, I wouldn't trade the quiet and peace for the noise and rush of the big cities. I've lived around a lot of people before. The hustle and bustle, it wears on you.
Emily listened carefully, imagining a life so different from her own. A life without the crowds and the constant noise, just quiet days beneath the endless sky. She looked at Jake again, almost as if she felt sorry for him. But really, she just wanted to understand.
Why? Really, why out here, in the cold, in the middle of nowhere?
Jake took a deep breath and thought back. He wasn't sure why he was about to share so much with a stranger he had only just met hours ago. Maybe it was because he didn't talk to many people often. He wasn't sure, but still, he decided to open his heart to Emily. He told her about his wife and daughter, how he had been married with a little girl only 4 years old. He had a good job and a happy life. Then, one day, everything changed.
My wife and daughter died in a car accident. The pain swallowed me. It was too much for me to bear. The city reminded me too much of the life I lost. So I just sold my house and bought land out here in this quiet desert. This is where I live now.
Emily listened closely, feeling the weight of his story. Jake looked at her with gentle curiosity. He only knew her name, but something about her gave him ease. It would be nice to know more about her and why she was out here in the desert by herself.
What about you? Why are you out here so far from anywhere? I did not expect to see you when I went horse riding. We don't get any visitors or tourists out here.
Emily hesitated, then told him a story she made up on the spot. She had to keep her secret, at least long enough until she knew she could trust him.
I'm kind of an artist. I needed some time alone to find inspiration. I heard the desert was the perfect place to clear your mind and get new ideas, so I came here to paint and think. But then I got lost. I wandered too far, and I couldn't find my way back. My food ran out 2 days ago. I am so lucky you found me when you did.
Her voice sounded honest and calm, and Jake believed her. Outside, the sun was dipping low, turning the sky shades of orange and pink. The desert grew colder and darker. Jake gave her some painkillers to help with her headache and wrapped a warm blanket around her shoulders. Then he stood up and headed toward the kitchen.
I'm gonna fix us some dinner. Get some rest.
Emily watched him go, feeling a strange comfort in this simple, quiet place. Let us play a game. Are you still watching? If you are, what did you have for breakfast today? Let us know in the comments. While you're at it, take out 2 seconds to hit the subscribe button. It would mean the world to me. The next day, Jake had to head into town to pick up some supplies. His stock of food and essentials at the ranch was almost gone. He loaded his truck early in the morning and promised Emily he wouldn't be gone long. As Jake drove off down the dusty road, Emily stayed behind in the quiet cabin. At first, she felt fine, but as the hours passed and Jake didn't return, a heavy weariness settled over her. She felt restless and uneasy, wishing he would come back soon. Meanwhile, in the nearest town, Jake stopped at a small grocery store. As he walked past the newspaper stand, a headline caught his eye. 500,000 ransom offered for missing woman. Curious, he picked up the paper and scanned the page. There, staring back at him, was a photo of a woman who looked just like Emily. Pale skin, light hair, delicate features. But the name beneath the picture was completely different. The paper said the woman's name was Melissa Harper, not Emily. Jake's heart skipped a beat. He blinked hard, wondering if he was seeing things right.
How could Emily be Melissa Harper? Are they the same person? Or is this a terrible mistake?
The article said anyone with information about Melissa Harper's whereabouts could get $500,000. Jake folded the newspaper carefully, gripping it tight as he headed back to his truck. His mind raced, full of questions he didn't have answers for. Who was Emily? By evening, Emily was feeling a lot better. Her legs still hurt, but she could walk around with it now. She had already started making dinner, and the warm smells filled the small cabin with comfort. When Jake pulled up in his truck, she came outside to help him unload the groceries. Together, they carried the bags inside, unpacking food and supplies. Jake tried hard to stay calm. He wanted to act like he didn't have the new information about her, the news from the town that weighed heavily on his mind. As they sat down to eat, Emily asked about his day. Jake told her about the market, the people he saw, the trades he made, and the quiet rhythm of life in the town. Emily shared that she had spent the day resting, cooking, and just relaxing in the quiet of the ranch. But as they talked, Emily noticed something different in Jake's mood. He seemed distant and distracted.
Is everything okay? Don't you like the food?
I like it. It tastes really good. Actually, no. I'm not fine. I found something in town today. Something you need to know about. I need you to be completely honest with me. Who are you really? Is your name really Emily? And what are you doing out here so far away from the people who love you? I need you to be honest with me.
Emily looked away, her lips pressed tight, but she kept denying it.
My name's Emily. I do not know who that is. She looks nothing like me.
Jake's frustration boiled over. He stood up from his chair, his fists clenched. His voice rose, shaking with emotion.
I took you in, even when my gut told me not to. I fed you when you couldn't eat. I cared for you when you couldn't walk. And the least you could do is tell me the truth about who you are. I'm putting myself at risk by letting you live under my roof, and you lie to me like it's nothing. Look at this. $500,000 ransom offered for missing woman Melissa Harper. This is you. There's no way around it. Tell me the truth. Who are you? And why are people willing to pay $500,000 to find you? I need answers. Start talking now.
Tears welled up in her eyes, then spilled over in soft, shaky sobs. She couldn't hold it in any longer.
Yes, that's me. My real name is Melissa Harper. But I don't want to be that person anymore. I'm Emily now. That's who I am. I've made a choice to leave my old life behind. My father, he's a very rich and powerful man. His name is Charles Harper. He wants me to marry his business partner's son, a man he picked for me. It's all about business and family alliances. I don't love him. I begged and begged my father to let me marry for love, not for business. But he wouldn't listen. My pleas fell on deaf ears. So I ran away. I just wanted to be free. But then I got lost. I wandered too far, and that's how I ended up here, in this wilderness. I'm sorry I lied to you. I didn't know if you'd treat me differently if you knew who I really was. I was scared you might not help me. But I like it here. I want to stay. Please, let me.
Jake sat back, folding his arms, his face serious. He wanted to believe her, truly. But the lies and secrets made him cautious.
Why should I believe you now? You're an adult. If you told your father you didn't want to marry the man he picked for you, maybe he would have listened. I just don't understand. You look like you're over 28. You're old enough to make your own choices, aren't you?
I know what you're thinking, but you don't know my father. He's a ruthless man, cold and powerful. When he sets his mind to something, nothing stops him. No matter how much I begged or argued, he would have made me marry that man. It wasn't a choice. Running away was the only way I could have any freedom at all. The only way to be myself. Please, Jake, don't turn me away. Don't send me back to them. Not for $500,000 or anything else. I promise you this. Give me some time. I will work hard, and I will get you twice that money. Just please, let me stay here. Let me be safe. I'll earn my keep. I'll do anything you want me to do. I will scrub the floors. I will cook your meals. I'll tend to the cows and the animals. Please, I want to be of help to you. You really do need company out here.
Jake was silent for a moment, surprised by her words. Then he asked, his voice low and serious.
You'd actually stay here, living like a slave, instead of going back to your father, back to the comfort, the warm water, the heater, the electricity, back to having people wait on you and do everything for you?
Yes. All my life, I've had people do everything for me, told me what to eat, what to wear, where to go, and where not to go. I've lived my life for my family, not for me. I need to be free. Fate led me here. Please don't turn me away.
Jake sat quietly for a few seconds, thinking. Something about the way she was begging, so honest and raw, reached him deeply. He saw himself in her, someone who wanted a life beyond what was expected.
All right, you can stay, but no one else can know where you are. You have to be safe. I need to be safe.
Emily's face lit up with relief. They ended the conversation on a hopeful note, both feeling the weight of a new beginning.
Thank you so much. You will not regret this. I promise.
Jake felt a heavy weight in his heart, unsure of what to expect next. This new chapter of life was unknown and uncertain. Emily found it hard to sleep that night. She wasn't sure if she could truly trust Jake yet. The fear and uncertainty lingered inside her. But as the weeks slowly passed by, they both settled into their new routine. Jake grew used to seeing Emily around the ranch. The way she moved, the way she cared for the house and animals, it became normal. Slowly, he started to feel that maybe, just maybe, he could trust her. Weeks went by, and still, Jake didn't turn her in for the $500,000 reward. That was a lot of money, enough to change someone's life forever. But Jake didn't care. He had chosen to keep her safe. With time, a quiet comfort grew between them. Emily surprised him with her cooking. She made delicious meals from the simple ingredients they had. Jake couldn't believe that a millionaire could cook so well. She kept the cabin spotless, making her bed every morning and cleaning without being asked. The animals seemed to like her too. They gathered around when she was near, sensing her kindness. Jake had forgotten what it felt like to have a woman in the house. He found himself missing it more than he thought possible. His life grew softer, warmer, and better with her there. He didn't realize how much he had missed this kind of company, and slowly, as it should be, he began to like having her around. Meanwhile, Emily watched Jake from inside the cabin. She would look out the window and see him walking the land, tending the animals with gentle care. There was something about him that caught her attention, a quiet strength in his hands, the way his body moved, with purpose and power. His skin had a healthy glow from working outside every day. She found herself drawn to him, fascinated by his ruggedness and manly strength. She had never been around a man who could handle things like this. It was new to her, and she admired it deeply. Day by day, they grew closer, finding comfort in each other's presence. Even if neither of them was ready to say it out loud, love was quietly growing between them. The sun was setting one evening, painting the sky with soft shades of pink and orange. The desert air had cooled, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves of the small trees around the ranch. Jake and Emily stood outside the cabin, side by side, watching the last light fade from the horizon. They had spent the day working together, tending the animals, fixing the fence, and sharing quiet moments in between. There was a new closeness between them, a gentle tension in the air neither had spoken about. Jake looked at Emily, really looked at her. Emily felt his gaze and turned to meet it. Her heart was beating fast, a flutter she hadn't felt in a long time. Without thinking, Jake reached out and gently tucked a stray strand of hair behind her ear. His fingers brushed her cheek lightly, sending warmth through her entire body. For a moment, they just stood there, close enough to feel each other's breath. The world around them seemed to quiet down, as if time itself had slowed. Then, slowly, Jake leaned in. Emily's eyes fluttered closed just before their lips met. The kiss was soft, tender, and filled with all the hope and promise they had both been holding inside. It was a moment of trust and of connection. Emily's arms found their way around Jake's neck, pulling him closer. He wrapped his arms around her waist. He was steady and sure. In that perfect moment, nothing else mattered. Not the past, not the future, just the warmth of their kiss beneath the fading desert sky. When they finally pulled apart, their eyes met again, and both smiled shyly. It was the beginning of something new, something real and beautiful. Or so Jake thought. But as the days went by, Jake noticed something changing. Emily began to avoid him. He tried everything he could think of to reach her, but she stopped meeting his gaze. When she made dinner, she would serve him quietly, then take her plate and eat alone in her room. There was a coldness in the house, something Jake couldn't explain. Right after their first kiss, Emily had started to become distant. Jake couldn't take the silence anymore. One night, he insisted they have a serious talk. She stood quietly while he poured his heart out.
I don't understand why you're acting like this. If you didn't want me, then why did you reach out for that kiss? You came into my life when I was living a quiet, peaceful life. You made me remember things I had fought so hard to forget. The warmth of another person, the happiness, the love. You made me fall in love.
Hearing those words, Emily looked up at him, surprised. She didn't expect him to say he had fallen in love with her. He was in love with her.
Yes, I have fallen in love with you, Emily. You made me fall in love with you. So why are you pushing me away? Why are you so distant? If you didn't want me to love you, why did you come into my life? Why do you come into my kitchen and cook for me? Why do you take care of me? Why do you look at me when you think I'm not looking? Why do you rub my hair when I'm asleep?
But Emily couldn't give him an answer. She just stood there, completely stunned and short of words.
If you don't want to be with me, then you should leave, go. Because I don't understand any of this. I can't keep looking at you every day and pretending like what I feel for you does not exist.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I didn't mean to come out here and fall in love. I was running away, running from my father's control, from a life that felt like a cage. But here I am, with another man I barely know. I want to know what life is like by myself. I want you. But I want to find out who I am without my father, a husband, or any man in the picture. And I don't know how to handle it all. I miss my old life. I miss the power, the access, the things I once had. I'm human. And it's becoming clear to me that I could never fully settle into this life, your life. Your life looks good on the outside, but it is really lonely and too quiet out here. I admire you, Jake, I really do, but I still miss the life I left behind.
Jake listened quietly, his heart sinking. He felt defeated, sad in a way he hadn't expected. He couldn't believe what he was hearing, but deep down, he knew she was right. Only she could decide what she really wanted, and whatever she chose, he had to respect that. That night, Jake and Emily went to bed with heavy hearts. Both of them were broken, Jake feeling a pain deeper than anything he had felt since his wife and daughter died. Let us play a quick game. Are you still watching? If you are, what time are you watching this now? Let us know in the comments. While you're at it, please take out 2 seconds to hit the subscribe button. Only people who are not kind will not subscribe. The next morning, the quiet ranch was shattered by the loud chopping of helicopter blades overhead. Jake woke with a start and looked outside. 2 helicopters circled low above the ranch, stirring up dust and noise. Suddenly, armed men in uniforms rappelled down and stormed the property. They moved fast and with purpose. One of the officers called out his name.
Jake Miller, you're under arrest for kidnapping, unlawful restraint, and obstruction of justice. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed for you. Do you understand these rights as I have read them to you?
Jake's heart dropped. He looked over at Emily, hoping she would say something. Tell them it was all a mistake, that they were wrong. But Emily said nothing. His chest tightened. The silence crushed him more than the accusation. His eyes searched hers, pleading for help, for her to tell them the truth. But there was only silence. Jake's heart broke even more. Jake spent days in a cold, dark cell. The walls were rough, the air thick and heavy. He barely had enough water to drink. Every moment felt endless and empty. His heart ached, not just from the harsh conditions, but from the deep pain inside. He thought of Emily, the woman he had opened his heart to, his doors to. The woman who had come into his quiet life, made it brighter, and then broke his heart into a million pieces. Jake felt alone in the world, more broken than he had been since losing his wife and daughter. The loneliness and pain wrapped around him like a heavy cloak. Meanwhile, Emily tried to return to her old life. Her father was pleased she was found. The power, the wealth, and the control were waiting for her again. But Emily could hardly sleep. Every night, guilt gnawed at her heart. She had betrayed Jake in the worst way, turning him in, paying back his kindness with the utmost betrayal. She knew deep down she had paid his good with evil. The life she once wanted no longer felt like freedom. It felt like a prison. She had to make things right and tell her father the truth. As she stood in the grand hallway of her father's mansion, the walls echoed in silence. She took a deep breath and stepped into the study, where her father sat behind a massive oak desk. Charles Harper looked up, his eyes sharp and cold.
Dad, I need to tell you the truth. It's about Jake, the man who found me in the desert. He saved me when I was hurt. He gave me food, shelter, and cared for me when I was weak. He didn't ask who I was or what I had. He just helped.
And you expect me to trust some black poor man? He was holding you hostage, wasn't he?
No, he never forced me to stay. He's been kind and honest, more honest than anyone I've known. I know I made mistakes, and I'm sorry, but he's the only one who showed me real kindness. He helped me when I had nowhere else to go.
I still am yet to understand why you ran away from home. You're my daughter. Your duty is to our family, to keep the alliances we've built.
I'm not that person anymore. I need to live my own life, and Jake helped me see that. Please, don't punish him for caring for me.
I will let Jake go, but only if you agree to marry the man I have chosen for you.
For a moment, the room was silent. Emily's eyes widened. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. After everything, this was the price her father wanted to pay. Her heart ached, but deep down, she knew she had no choice. She had brought this on herself. If she did not agree to what her father wanted, he would keep Jake locked up forever or do terrible things to him. She nodded slowly, the weight of the decision pressing down on her. True to his word, Emily's father arranged for Jake's release. Jake walked out of the cell, free but heavy with the cost of that freedom. Emily watched him leave from a distance. She was torn between relief and sorrow. She had saved Jake, but at what price? She was to marry the man her father had arranged for her. The day of the wedding was bright and clear. The sun was shining warmly over the garden where the wedding was to take place. The air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming roses. Crystal chandeliers swayed lightly above rows of white chairs, where family and friends gathered in anticipation. Emily stood behind a heavy curtain, dressed in a stunning white wedding gown. The dress was simple but elegant, with lace sleeves that hugged her arms and a long flowing train that swept the floor. Her hair was pinned up softly, with tiny pearl pins that caught the light every time she moved. Her makeup was flawless, soft and natural, highlighting her delicate features. Yet, despite the beauty around her, her heart was heavy and her mind full of doubt. The groom, Michael Collins, a tall man with sharp features and a confident smile, stood at the altar. His navy blue tuxedo was perfectly tailored, crisp and neat. His eyes searched the crowd nervously, waiting for Emily to step out. The guests were dressed in their finest. Women wore pastel dresses and men wore suits, many chatting excitedly about the day ahead. Soft music floated through the air, adding a graceful and peaceful mood to the celebration. Tables nearby were set with fine china and sparkling crystal glasses. Platters of fresh fruit, smoked salmon, roasted chicken, and delicate pastries awaited the reception. The scent of lavender and vanilla candles mixed with the aroma of fresh herbs from the garden. As Emily finally stepped out, all eyes turned to her. She moved slowly, every step heavy with emotion. The guests smiled and whispered compliments on how beautiful she looked. But Emily's gaze was distant. All she could think about was Jake, the man who had saved her, cared for her, and touched her heart in ways no one else ever had. She remembered their quiet moments on the ranch, the warmth of his touch, and the first time their lips met under the desert sky. Every memory came rushing back, clashing with the life she was about to accept. Michael reached out and gently took her hand, smiling warmly.
You look beautiful.
Thank you.
Emily forced a smile but couldn't meet his eyes. The ceremony began, the officiant's voice calm and steady as he guided them through the vows. The guests watched quietly, some with tears in their eyes, moved by the love they expected to see. When it was time to say their vows, Emily's heart pounded like never before. She looked at Michael, then at the faces of her family, friends, and strangers. But her voice did not follow the expected words. She took a deep breath and spoke clearly, her voice trembling but strong.
I can't do this. I don't love you, Michael. We don't have to get married just to please our families. I'm sorry. I have to be true to myself.
A gasp ran through the crowd. The shock was immediate. Whispers turned to murmurs. Some guests stared, mouths open in disbelief. Others exchanged nervous glances. Michael's smile faded. His face tightened in confusion and hurt. Emily released Michael's hand and stepped back, tears streaming down her cheeks. Without another word, she turned and ran. Past the stunned guests, past the shocked family members, and out of the garden. She didn't stop until she reached the airport. Emily booked the next flight she could find, a flight back to the only place she ever truly felt safe. To the man she loved. Back to Jake. Emily's heart pounded as she arrived back at the ranch. After everything she had left behind, after running from a life she never wanted, she was sure that Jake was the one she wanted, the man who had saved her, who had loved her without conditions. But when she stepped onto the porch, she found Jake waiting. His face was calm but serious, eyes full of something she hadn't expected, pain mixed with strength.
Jake, I'm here. I'm yours. I want to be with you.
Emily, I love you, I want us, but more than anything, I have to want myself. I don't need a love that is confused, Jake continued. I don't want you to want me today, then want your old life tomorrow. You can't have both.
But Jake, I'm sure. I want you. I don't want that old life anymore.
I love you, Emily, but sometimes loving someone means letting them go. Go, live, find out what you really want. Every love story doesn't have to end with happily ever after. Sometimes it ends with the hardest kind of love, letting go.
Her heart broke. Emily felt tears well up, but she knew deep inside he was right. With one last look, she thanked him for everything. He nodded, his heart aching. As she walked away from the ranch, Emily felt both loss and hope. She didn't know what the future held, but for the first time, she was free to find her own path. Do you think Jake made the right decision by not turning Emily in? What would you do if you were in his shoes? I hope you enjoyed this millionaire love story. What are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments. And hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss the next one.